Hello, this is the Harmonizing Journey to Realignment Seminar and Sessions. And the topic today is Evolution of the Soul, Part 5 in HJR Insight. And today is going to be just a little bit different than usual because we have the HJR Gridkeepers Community group weighing in on the discussion, holding space for the discussion. So thank you everybody for joining today. All right, so the Earth, Seedings, and Soul Transplants. So this is a little introductory piece. So what is a soul transplant? How does ancient esoteric Christianity fit into the scheme of evolution? We will explore how the soul transplant affected the development of the human angelic species and the role of holographic inserts in the scenario. What does being seeded into a planet mean? These are some questions to be answered in this HJR Insight. The primary resources used to write this article were Voyagers, Volume 1, The Sleeping Abductee by Ashayana Dean, pages 74 to 82, and Voyagers, Volume 2, The Secrets of Amenti by Ashayana Dean, pages 43 through 55. Seeding 1, Becoming a Planetary Morphogenic Field Template. 550 million years ago, the Terran souls from density 2 seeded into the Earth grids to reassimilate their damaged templates, to reestablish their ascension capability. They worked on reassembling DNA strands 1 and 2 of their Earth form. Think of a plant seed that holds the genetics of the plant within. Now look at a soul seed. This would concur that the soul seed would hold on to a soul's lineage information. These seeds would come from a larger source, being, from a more prominent source, and being on and on to the eternal core of source itself. Now think about the plant's Now think about how plants germinate in areas suited to them, or where they are drawn to. The same is true for soul seeds. They go where they are drawn into an environment that will meet their needs. However, they also affect the environment where they germinate and become established. The environment and the plant feed on or nurture each other, creating a world environment together. Soul plans descended as small seed cells, descending into the 4 density planes until fractaling into this density 1 plane, bringing the genetic code consciousness of their first creation selves. Each has a particular purpose for the development of humanity that was determined long ago but became refined as time evolved. Harmonic 2, or aka density 2, Terra, aka Alcyon, soul essence, has had a torrid history with their own gene manipulation. Long before the fall of Terra occurred, and even today, Terra has been wholly compromised due to invasion and gene code de-evolution. Nonetheless, our Rishi and higher selves have diligently nurtured their organic soul seed cells into this time matrix to honor expansion and growth on the leading edge of creation. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that discussion, or are we good? Okay. The digression of seeding 1. Unfortunately, seeding 1 ran into stumbling blocks that prevented its evolution. Because it was more out of body than in body, there was not a big difference, according to Rudolf Steiner's study of the Akashic records, between its inner and outer world. It bred with the more dense-based life forms indigenous to ancient Earth souls who did not have a 12-strand diamond sun template. It's like the physical body, and we were kind of more up above the body and barely connecting in because we were working to assimilate those DNA strands to be able to be rooted in. This merging of ancient Earth life with the angelic human brought the overall planetary base pulse rhythm down, causing the planetary digression of the Ternesium-2 template. This would not have been so bad if we were not multidimensional beings. This caused a digression over time to the angelic human genome, which was beginning to cause a backlash throughout the multidimensional time matrix. The angelic human soul matrix holds all the harmonic universe reality planes, densities 1 through 5. The Lamanian and Atlanian cultures of Seeding 1 fragmented and became warring factions against each other. When they started to fragment again, those in the higher realms knew they had to intervene. Some looked to heal, and others felt that destroying the angelic human experiment would stop the problem. It's also essential to understand why and how some expressions of the God Source First Eternal Aya choose to disconnect from their eternal being of perpetual renewal to create their own worlds of second creation finite mechanics. This separation has given us free will to choose between living the first and second creation mechanics. When you are part of a soul collective, you move as part of the collective. There's not a lot of room for individual thought. This was when we were more atavistic clairvoyants, receiving divine will guidance from our gods, aka bigger selves. But this also made us vulnerable to those who created their own second creation finite light body mechanics. We evolved over many cycles to lose the atavistic clairvoyant ability, developing the intellect or ability to think and feel for oneself. Don't get me wrong. Part of me wants that deep feeling of oneness back again. But there's also a part of me that likes being both. I like the idea of being a freedom spirit of an individuated I that this time matrix has afforded me, while also embodying the amness as the all that is, God Source First Eternal, Aya. No matter how disconnected we become, we are still that soul seed self. We now consciously reconnect with our eternal being as I, ego spirit self. As individuals, we expand to the fullness of our planned family, bringing to bear the fullness of I am. But there was a time when we didn't know if we should continue developing this freedom spirit because of the unintended consequences of the de-evolution of the multidimensional gene code. Our avatars and Rishi beings began to battle it out in the heavens during the electric wars. Okay, so that's the end of that segment. I was noticing a lot of nodding from Nadia.
Yeah, I'm sort of writing it as you're speaking, so I'm integrating it. It's a habit that I have that I write as
okay, so cool. All right.
So yes.
The electric wars. 5 million 5,509,000 to 5,508. No, sorry. Yeah, 8,100 years ago. There was an electric war, aka war in heaven, between different soul rishi groups over who should have control of the Earth's grids. The Earth was becoming a wasteland with no end in sight. Those who could get out went to Terra through the gates of Amenti, or Inner Earth, or to one of the other Density 1 planets. Those who couldn't leave because their templates were too fragmented, if the Brinaway of the primal light and sound fields hadn't agreed to step in to preserve the species, their light body structure would have evolved into a base animal-like being that eventually would have been destroyed. The Brunaway worked out agreements with the different solar Rishi groups. One such agreement was with the Raw Confederacy from the primal light and sound fields dimensions 13 through 15 Rishi of the Yana Council to host the compromised Terran souls on Earth. The Yana councils had initially seeded the Yani of our Atori time matrix, which seeded what we know as the three founder races, Elohai, Seraphai, and Braharama, 950 billion years ago. Okay, that's the end of that segment. Anything that anybody would like to? I just said. Okay. Soul transplants. The Brunaway sent the Terran soul family groups that could no longer live on Earth to similar star systems, where they could evolve more quickly. They could then be reunited with their full template seeded into the core of Earth during seeding 1. Our incarnate Earth self must heal and realign with our full spirit self to become the full I am we are capable of being. The Brunaway worked with the Raw Confederacy, who assigned a subgroup within their matrix called the Atane, and that was from Voyagers 2, Secrets of Amenti, page 48, to foster the incarnate life of these Terran soul seeds when the planet could sustain life again. The Terran souls had gone with the strict understanding that there would come a time under the hosting clan's tutelage when the incarnate and Terran soul collectives would join together on Earth. If this hosting had not occurred, there would have been an end to the angelic human race. And then it will note, this time is now, and it is the current star seeds, is what I believe, is our original Terran soul self that had to leave back then and go to other star systems, other star planets. And they're back. It's the time. It's time. Anything anybody else would like to add on that?
So in my sort of, I'm going to say abstract thought of it, well, so this is linking into the sphere of Amenti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We basically the sphere of Amenti is a consciousness field that embraced or took the fragmented souls that went from Terra when Terra started to break apart, and held it in this field. And then this field basically fell backwards in time with the souls because they were going momentum that way, and the spin speed was getting low, and they were going back. Went through, I want to say, our sun into this realm, and basically all the planets in our solar system are pieces of Terra. Saturn, Jupiter, all those are different fragments of Terra when that sphere came and took it. Or actually, I guess it would be the fragments went through, and then the sphere took the souls, and everything went through. And then this planet we're on apparently has a strong enough morphogenic integrity of Terra to hold the sphere of Amenti.
Okay.
Am I right, Lewis? Or are you yawning on me?
I thought the sphere of Amenti was specifically so Terra itself was put back in time to a point where it never fell. And then the sphere of Amenti was put into the core of Terra. And through the Ark of the Covenant, that's kind of what connected Earth and Terra and the sphere of Amenti together. I could be wrong on that, though.
I got pieces of Terra broke off of Terra, and the souls with it, right? Because we seed into the core of a planet. So we're morphogenetically a part of that planet. When it broke, those souls that fragmented with those pieces got lost, got actually initially fragmented. And then they went back, a group, you know, the Paladorians, some others got together and literally in time put those consciousnesses together. And then, but we had already gone backwards in time. But I always thought there was another Terra still there, not another Terra, but Terra still there, but just where it had broken apart a
Yeah,
bit.
It feels
I thought it
like
was
to
always just kind
me,
of. I always just kind of thought it was more of a time loop in itself, which I don't really know how that would actually work.
That could be too.
But
Again, planets, life is not rock bottom
Mm.
solid, so pieces could come off a planet and it could still sustain itself. But I think it was like not very inhabitable, the parts that were
yeah,
left for a long time. And I think a lot of people went
Yeah.
underground, if I remember
I had
right.
a third of my soul fragment, and I do remember going underground from a memory, if that's correct.
But the bottom line is Terra went boom. Bunch of it went back in time. We formed a sphere to hold a bulk of, because I don't think it was all of them, because they were able to go back through the portal into Terra. So there had to be something there for them to go back into. So through the portal way of the Amenti, it connected at one side to Terra, and then another part of it connected into Earth, and it was like a bridge, right? Acted also as a bridge besides holding the
Mm.
souls.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Are we ready to go on to the next? Okay. Seeding 2 and the rewriting of history. 3,700,000 to 848,000 years ago. If I'm not saying those words correctly, Lewis, you let me know. Numbers and me don't really get along. Okay. Unfortunately, the host matrix transplants had side effects. One was clearing organic memory or removing the information stored. Well, actually, before I go on, so you guys get what happened at the end of seeding 1 with the soul transplant idea.
yeah, so from what I understand, when the electric wars happened and the planet pretty much became very unstable, a lot of the souls were not able to actually stay here anymore, so they even went underground, but a lot of them were moved over to different star systems. That's kind of where we got all these star seeds kind of coming in with the New Age and saying they're from Sirius and they're from all these other kind of places. And
Now,
That feels right.
Now keep in mind that seed came in, seeded into the core of Earth. So it's seeded in there. Came in like a plant, blossomed out and became a human. But yet also was not really tied to that human body, but was still giving that human body life. Then this seed self-human soul interbred with others that were already on this planet that didn't have the same gene code, and that started affecting the integrity of that newly evolving seed soul self in a physical body here. And then because that physical body started to become more of what the bodies were like on that planet organically and not connected to the soul, there was a disconnection, fragmenting occur, and they weren't fitting together. And this was also starting to affect the gene code of the soul seed itself. And that's affected density 2, density 3, density 4 on through the realm. was starting to have an effect. So besides the issue of the war, which just was an effect of this because of this being a problem, to fix that problem, we had our high, Brunaway guys come in at the density 5 level, because you have to come in that high, to say, okay, we're going to take this little seed self, even though you're still connected to that physical body whose root is into the core of the earth. So there's still a connection, there's still a relationship. They literally took that soul, even though it still had its connection to the core of the earth, of the life of the planet, morphogenic field, rooted it into another body on another planet. The end result in the future, and it's why star seeds talk about how, well, anyway, there's this desire, these star seeds from all, why is it all these beings from all these other star systems just have this desire and pull to come here? It's because they're wanting to come back to their root of where they had, that part of their consciousness that had seeded in. They still have to make that connection with their human aspect that connects them to this, that portion of themselves that seeded into the earth, that started to blossom out as a human.
Yeah.
There's some kind of weird thing with that. That's the kind of the bottom line. Okay. Anything else before we go on? Okay.
Just that there's a resistance with that.
It took me forever to write
You
this
know what I mean?
article.
To
I have brain
to
farts
anchor
with it.
back in.
Yeah, I had brain
Because
farts
you're
with this.
absolutely, that's one of the main issues, I think, is people do not want to ground into that original seed blueprint.
I think it's so, let me just keep, and I'll keep reading and it'll
Yep.
explain even more why it's a brain fart thing. Okay. So, and this is kind of more of it. So, okay. So unfortunately, the host matrix transplants had side effects. One was clearing organic memory or removing the information stored in the original soul matrix DNA template, right? That physical body held the imprint of all the history of who that soul was and what they were connected to, right? This loss can cause traces of ghost memory imprints, as the biological cells still hold residual electrical impulses from the original pattern. The hosting Atene soul matrix memories did not, of course, align with the Terran soul memories, causing projected fragmented memories that only cause stress and confusion in the incarnate Earth mind. These fragmented ghost images are projected from the junk DNA, or what we call the junk DNA. The host matrix families manufactured new ideologies with new remembered paths for their newly acquired aspects in time. Our major world religions were seeded in during this time, but some ghost images remained. So part of the purpose of religions was to deal with these ghost images as demonic forces to avoid. The other purpose of the major religions was to foster the reorganizing of the genetic code so that one could once again reconnect with one's organic soul matrix family. Our biblical creation myth was part of this rewriting. I would say that all the creation myths are rewriting of history, probably with little hidden coded messages to help us wake up in a slower, safer way. One day, there will no longer be demons, but plugged in parts of our higher dimensionality to become alive again. So that kind of helps with that understanding. And then kind of part of that mechanics, unless somebody has something to add, holographic inserts now. I have mentioned a few times that the world is not rock bottom solid, as much as we want to make it so. We are not living on a flat earth or a planetoid. Boy, when you really think about it, how dysfunctional that planetoid thing is, it really fucks us up. Sorry. We are living in a light body, Keelan-coated morphogenic field template structure. It has a sphere structure to it. Keelons are reality thought bubbles, also known as beliefs. We call them opinions, beliefs, or the facts of life that can be easily manipulated. Transparent beliefs are assumptions made as absolute truths about the world. They are abstract concepts that we no longer can see as beliefs. Our whole world ideology tends to be based on these beliefs. For example, the sun always rises, the earth is round, the sky is blue, and so on are assumptions we take as complete and utter truth. Our current 3D natural science is based on these transparent beliefs. Now that might get bumped in some place. Anyway, it is difficult to get to the actual facts of what is because our perspective is managed by the functioning of the intellect of the brain. And I got this idea of the transparent beliefs from Avatar. Resurfacing the link in the document. This is why the guardians always say the knowledge they bring is theoretical, that is, intellectually, where we are developmentally to receive the information. Theoretically, abstract thinking or critical theory is part of that illusionary mindset. I would add that this is Luciferic woo-woo thinking, not based on the grounded here and now facts. According to Voyagers and Steiner, when you are more caught up in your head or floating above your body, you can receive keyline-coded holographic inserts replacing old memories and belief systems. Hopefully that was clear and what I just read.
Okay.
When you still understand that these Keelan-coded consciousnesses of reality constructs are just that. And you have some that are strongly embedded, and that's why we have tables, chairs, physical bodies, things that are really strongly embedded. Oh, there's our Gregory. Okay. Hi, Greg. We're recording right now. So this is going to be live on YouTube. Just want to make sure you know that. And glad you made it. I heard you're not feeling good.
I'm really crook.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the link that we were meeting, and then I just read through one of the chapters. It wasn't in the normal.
I
Anyway,
had it. Yeah, I had it
okay.
in the in our Discord chat. I'm glad you made it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have to, when you can, show us your dog because we talked about your dog earlier.
Yeah.
We got to see how your baby's doing.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah. Hello,
He's never
sweet
far
baby.
away.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
He's just sitting there on the couch.
Okay. Okay.
Once he's
So we've basically talked about the seeding one and how seeding one got compromised and what was done to mitigate and help out the angelic human from degrading into not being the angelic human anymore, and how we inserted or had a relationship with taking our original self out and then having that go someplace else where it can evolve, and then having a hosting soul transplant come in and host basically the human race for the most part. And part of that is looking at holographic inserts was part of being able to have that occur. Because the new hosting family coming in and the original ancestral bodies weren't lining up. So we had to basically rewrite history, rewrite reality so that the two could connect together. And part of that was, so that's kind of basic. Okay, so I will, unless anybody wanted to add more before we go on to the next section. Oh, and just realizing again that the more grounded and stable you are, the more you bring yourself in and utilize your full cellular structure, the less likely you're going to be able to be influenced by holographic inserts. And holographic inserts would be the example she had in the Voyagers book. Yesha had in the Voyagers book was like and people, a lot of people kind of talk about this is the thing where people see Jesus coming down in the sky and people being taken up into heaven. That was an example, a dramatic one of a holographic insert. But I've been sort of hearing more and more of people talking about there's this technology that can basically create realities around you and you think it's the real thing. So yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a big thing right now. So there's different levels of that technology. And it can be a technology used for good, and it can be a technology that can be used not so good.
Yeah.
And both has been used on us.
Yeah.
Okay. Frequency fence. All right. The Guardians installed the frequency fence for frequency modulation to perceptually block communication with your higher DNA or junk DNA. This block allowed the intellect of the brain to develop with the thinking of the etheric body, giving it time to evolve to a natural progression to enlightenment, removing the block naturally. And I say the thinking of the etheric body because this is more of a Steiner influence. He said actual real thinking is not in the physical body. It's actually in the etheric body. And then through the etheric body's interface with the physical body, and it uses the brain to do certain things, but really thinking itself is outside of the brain. So I just think that's fascinating. But anyway. Okay. The basic mechanics behind the frequency fence are Quilanta codes of the cellular pattern of strands of DNA to represent the specific sound patterns that combines to form the frequency bands, dimensional bands of your biological matter, thus setting the base frequency coded within which your conscious focus will take place. How these codes are arranged determines how awake and aware you are. People we consider sleepers may be highly coded, but the codes have been modified or arranged to shut down the person to base level cognition.
Okay.
And when I was saying like the patterns or bands or strings, you think of flashing on and off, on and off, on and off, the key ones. And they build themselves up, okay? And they can build bands. And that's where we get a whole frequency, a dimensional band. And within a dimensional band, you have 12 frequency bands. And I think probably even with each frequency band, sub-band, you probably have 12. It's just multiple flashing line sequences. Okay. And so that, and you can go in with those dimensional bands and you can just rejigger the codes. And that's basically what the Guardians did, is they went through our root chakra, dimension 1, recoded, did some recoding with that, Did the same with D2, D3, interfacing, they really changed things. And then we had tampering along with that by not so good guys, but the frequency fence was basically the tampering with our bands of DNA so that we could focus on dimension 1, 2, and 3 and develop those abilities, the intellect, how to be physical, and not have the ghost images and the craziness and trying to and not, you know, have a, because we weren't really properly plugged in.
So more of a grounding process, really, coming
Like
back
I
to
said,
the root.
the more we can come
Absolutely.
into our body and grounded and stable in that, we're not going to get fucked with as easily. Yeah.
Absolutely. That changed my life.
For many, it is a safeguard doing the frequency fence. For many, it's a safeguard in a perceived not so safe world. For others, it gives them a chance to develop, again, their intellect on this earth plane to mature and handle the higher levels of being the actual guardian creators of this time matrix. Because I think it talked a few different times about how we just were not getting it, and it was just causing problems, and we really needed to slow down and just, again, we were going from being this very atavistic, I always keep forgetting that other word, kind of, you know, opening up and just receiving and just expressing as a whole collective and just receiving tremendous divine information from spirit, and then communicating and working with that and downstepping and we just did wonderful things. But it also had us not have maturity to know what was a good thing to stream and what was a not good thing to stream. We didn't always have that discernment. So when they were trying to reconfigure, we were still taking in what we shouldn't be taking in. So they're like, okay, we just need to cut them off and then just give them a chance to mature and develop their own thinking ability, developing, God, what's that word, guys, that I always say? To develop
spiritual maturity.
Yes, spiritual maturity and discernment skills. Discernment skills. That's something we're really all having a lot of fun with. Discernment skills, yeah.
Yeah, discernment. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, did you want to add something? Or are you just saying okay? You good? Okay. Unfortunately.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We were super evolved on Terra, right? I mean,
yes.
And we had gone through, like, I don't know how many thousands of years of evolving and all that, and then, or did we start out?
We de-evolved when we went into the sphere of Amenti was created for us. We de-evolved. But I have a funky feeling, but I don't have, you know, for sure on that. But I almost sort of have a feeling, even on Terra, we weren't as individuated as we are here. Not that we weren't highly intelligent and capable and very powerful beings, but I still think we were more of a unity conscious than an individuated consciousness. But that's just.
And we were in density or harmonic universe 2, right? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were we reading energies on Tara? Because I have visual memories and where everything was connected. The animals, the crystals, you could read the energy, and we were very etheric.
Yeah.
Maybe that was early stages, but that's one of the 3 visions that I was shown when I asked the question, who I am. So that would be that.
And that would be more being that sort of connected with everything, more of a unity consciousness.
There was orbs, lots of orbs.
Being able to,
the everything was in orbs, and it communicated with you.
What color were the orbs, Crystal? And Kate?
Well, the beings were blue, sort of white, out of the water. but the orbs were different colors depending upon the frequency band. Anyway, I don't want to deviate.
Yeah,
Katie,
sure,
we can discuss that.
sure.
Yeah, that, yeah, put a pin in that, hold on to that
Yeah.
and after
Yeah.
we read. Okay. Unfortunately, advanced intruder races who wanted control and dominion over Earth inserted more controls to dumb us down and, at other times, poked holes in the fence. During the second seeding, 1 million years ago, certain Zeta Reticula reptilians poked holes in the frequency fence, allowing ghost fragments to emerge, causing much trauma for the fledgling human. The Adam and Eve story was created to explain the discrepancies within the host soul matrix, aka the tree of knowledge, showing a duality program or two sets of memory imprints caused by the Draco and Zeta reptilians. Yeah, kind of wild for sure.
Yeah.
The duality represented the two types of memory. One memory is the rewritten hosting memory, and the other is the ghost fragments of their original soul matrix. Our original tree of life, which man was not supposed to know, was our original soul matrix knowledge of the 12D Cathara grid. This makes me think of the sci-fi stories like Indiana Jones movies of certain characters desiring to know pure knowledge, but when they get it, they go nuts or blow up. Keep in mind, these are stories, not actual events. But then again, one has to be ready to reconnect and reactivate the codes.
Yep.
Yep. There's a lot of that.
Okay. The
Are we at a place now in the evolution of earthly,
I have a feeling.
existences?
I have a feeling that question is going to be good for the end of my reading.
Okay.
So hold on to it. Don't forget it. Okay. The second soul transplants 950,000 years ago. We didn't just have it happen to us once, twice, 3 times, and I think right now we're in the middle of it again. To tell you the truth, with the Alhambra host. Anyway, unfortunately, as hard as our guardian selves worked, the second seeding fifth root race in Hibiru, Hibiru, Cloister races also digressed. The Dracon created their Draco race, which consisted of part human and part Dracon, who was making Earth dangerous to live on. They also used the soul transplants from seeding 1 for genetic manipulation. The primitive ape-like people came from this manipulation. Another problem was that the Atlanians, seeding 2, were influenced by the descendants of the original Terran Templar initiates, who had rebelled against the Syrian Council and caused the destruction of Terra. These Terran Templar initiates became the Syrian Anunnaki, who later lived on Density 1 Mars for a time. I would say this is the bunch that also had a hand in the cataclysm of Mars that had destroyed Maldek. Many are now trying to find their way back, bringing whatever spoils, or anyway, trying to make their way back to Mars. Many spoils they can. We still have the effects of this genetic. We still have the effects of this genetic abomination in the so-called Draco Illuminati elites of today. Bad Katie. Anyway. These Syrian Anunnaki brought their distorted Templar creed to the Earth's Atlanians, causing a disregard for the organic law of one doctrine. Over time, and the law of a certain type of law of one doctrine was always something the Guardians were trying to establish on Earth with the development of humanity that kept getting messed with. Over time, they instigated a modified elitist version, which I think is what we still have for the most part in the public, adding their own sexist slant. Women were no longer seen as equals, but only as breeders that they could use to create their own lineage on Earth. The women thought they were serving their gods of the Earth. Some today are referring these Syrian Anunnaki as or those of you that listen to certain people, especially the John Claude people, the Elohim worship cult.
Right.
What is not realized is the organic angelic human Elohim of the primal light and sound fields were being replaced in the historical records by the Anu Elohim Templar Initiate Anunnaki bunch as far back as the seeding to 950,000 years ago.
I hadn't connected that, you know, the Anunnaki here with the Terran faction, the Templar. I hadn't connected that, but that, so they're connected in that,
Yep.
and what they're doing as well. That's interesting.
The Nephilim were the byproducts of this unholy union between Alanian females, more than most likely also transplants, and these Anunnaki males. The Syrian Anunnaki, while having gene distortions, still had more active DNA than the angelic human had activated at the time, right? As many humans were soul transplants with their coding dismantled, the Nephilim were able to exploit the angelic human culture and way of life and distort the angelic human genetic imprint, creating a variety of animal humans. The Lemanians were not as greatly affected, so they went underground, connecting with the priests of Mu. There was and the Mu was priest from Terra, from Lemuria on Terra. They had also made it through and established themselves and were helping with the evolution of humanity. There was a request once again, the Elohim and Ra Confederacy, the good Elohim, and Ra Confederacy intervened, taking out the distorted Nephilim racial strains and Draco racial strains from their connection to the Amenti morphogenic field. Keeping in mind, right, when you interbreed with the angelic human and have children, those then get into the Amenti sphere, right, because of the connection. Okay, so they took those racial strains from their connection to the Amenti morphogenic field and splicing them into other HU 3 through 5 morphogenic fields. Many of these angelic humans had already been affected by the seals of Amenti and Palador from the Seeding 1 soul transplants. So they already had limits to begin with. All right. The Elohim worked with the Seres, S-E-R-E-S, from the original Terran C-E-R-E-S HU2 to energetically breed with these Atlantean human races to upgrade the human gene code to become the Seres, S-E-R-E-S. This combination of the Ra Confederacy subrace Atene with the Seres, S-E-R-E-S, race became the S-E-R-R-E-S Egyptian pharaonic line.
Okay.
Anything anybody want to ask or add to that before I go on?
No, there's
Where
definitely.
where is the Raw Confederacy? Do they have their own time matrix? I mean, is it separated from ours, or is it Are they part of it?
The Melchizedek order actually is part of, and actually I kind of, when I read a little bit farther, it kind of talks a little bit about that too. They're part of the primal light and sound fields. And they're kind of their own matrix, but yeah, they're their own matrix, but yet in alignment with ours, with the Melchizedek, with the Elohim, kind of in the same level, but weren't quite as affected as the Elohim were affected in this time matrix. You want to add more to that, Lewis? You got a scrunched face.
I was gonna say something, but it just kind of popped out of my head. It was to
Well,
do with the Ark of Confederacy being, wasn't it it was the Gestalt consciousness, wasn't it, that came
yeah,
in?
it would be a gestalt, yeah. When you're talking density 5, that would be a gestalt consciousness, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. They're the consciousness that the gestalt that had the creative ability to form our time matrix to begin with. So they're the ones that would be able to come in and modify, right, the time matrix. Because the time matrix starts at D12.
Yeah.
And they're D13, 14. Well, start at D13 and they go up their own different levels in their own matrix system. Okay, the 1,000 Years War, 3,700,000 to 848,000 or 848,800 years ago. The Anunnaki, needless to say, were majorly pissed off by this perceived slight. They didn't like the fact that their genetic coding was taken out of the Amenti sphere and put to other places, and they just didn't feel treated right, so they were pissed. So after all, they felt they were the greatest thing since sliced bread, as they had created a great technologically advanced civilization in Alania. After all, it was their right to use up natural resources, including the gold on the earth that they needed to heal their world, because after all, they had stripped it bare. Kind of sound familiar? Does anyone else have that mindset in our current political arena? Well, needless to say,
Entitled?
yeah, needless to say, eventually a war
China.
broke. What?
So
What was-
China.
China. quite a few different. Needless to say, eventually a war broke out between the Elohim and these Anunnaki for around 1,000 years. Okay, which takes us into the third seeding, 849,000 to 800,000 years ago. Let's just say at this point, the angelic human was pretty messed up. As in any war, particularly one with high-powered laser-type weapons, the Earth was pretty devastated. Most of the angelic humans were killed off or went underground or to another star system. Some were lucky to make it through the Amenti gates. The Bruno of HU5 mediated between the Elohim and the Syrian Anunnaki to negotiate a peace treaty. The remaining Nephilim were relocated to Sirius A and then eventually to Nibiru. Needless to say, they ultimately fucked up there too, right? Because Nibiru got fucked up and devastated. The Syrian Anunnaki and the Nibiru originally was a very healthy guardian planet that was had a stewardship responsibility to kind of hold the 11th gate in our time matrix until this they got infiltrated by the Anunnaki Nephilim guys.
Where's Nibiru located? You know, like, is it in a different galaxy, or is
Yeah,
it
I would
just
say it's in a different, it's not in our time matrix.
okay?
It's, or not in this 3D time matrix.
Nibiru, wasn't it? Am I thinking of Maldek? And it was in between Mars and
I think you're
Jupiter,
thinking
wasn't
of
it?
That's Maldek.
Maldek. So then,
It,
so then, the,
it
so then
it's,
Nibiru is the one that's because it was put into a weird orbit where it
yeah,
goes in between a black hole system and our own.
yeah. For some reason, I'm looking at my little thing here, and it's not jumping
That's a
out at me. But it's D11, so it's not. It's going to be where density 4. It's in density 4, so we're not going to see it from where we're at. But it's considered a galactic stargate Nibiru, and connected with Lyra and Avion. It would be in part of the Cradle of Lara, I would say, would be the area it would be in if we try to translate it to this world. I don't know if I read this paragraph or not, so I'll just read it again. The Syrian Anunnaki and the Elohim assisted in reseeding the angelic human upon the earth. The Amenti gates could no longer interface through, because initially it was able to interface through the D5 portal of the Eye of Horus, the Ark of the Covenant of Amenti Pal. Okay, so before that it was connected into D5, and then with the Eye of Horus. And then when this happened, it could no longer do that. So the Guardians created the Ark of the Covenant of Amenti, was called Palador, changed to just Amenti, was established. The Nephilim were completely banished from Earth, but allowed to grow in other systems. Which actually, I can't say that that's completely true at this point, because Indigo 3s actually have Nephilims in their body. But anyway, for the most part, they're gone. They were banished. Anu Melchizedek. An Anunnaki human gene code could only be played, because again, the whole fight was, that 1,000-year war was because the Anunnaki were pissed that they didn't have their own person or being in the game on Earth, right? So who they had got taken out, they pissed, they fought, they wanted one put in. Guardian said, okay, this is the best we can do. We'll call it the animal chief. And they had to be placed in the human morphogenic field if they committed to the law of one. So again, if you're going to be here, you got to go by the law of one if you're going to be in integrity. This new hybrid race was introduced through the 6th race, Melchizedek Cloister, with the 4th race, the Atlantean Egyptian subrace. The Melchizedek Cloister would serve as a host matrix family for the Anu. Also, the Melchizedek, at a later point, took stewardship of the remaining portions of the Egyptian Nephilim morphogenic field, which had been placed with the Atene host matrix family. Eventually, everyone was to integrate into the Melchizedek line. And I thought I had it here, but maybe I didn't say it. Maybe I'm going to read it later, but I think the Ra Confederacy is connected to the Melchizedeks, but maybe that's through that Atene host. Okay. We are currently living out, right now, the 3rd seeding. For the most part, the animal Melchizedek became compromised. Pretty much most pale-skinned people biologically are the animal genetic, I think. The so-called ruling elites are the Syrian Anunnaki and Draco hybrids running a might is right and women are less than take what you want programs. Most of the angelic humans are still asleep and many are compromised. We have a lot of help right now to help balance the scales. So when you're talking about China, I don't think they have that coding. I think they actually have more angelic coding as a whole. They're a very ancient race. But I would say England, Britain Empire, it's definitely those compromised ones. The leaders, not the people, but the government. The what did I call it? Whatever they were called. The elite. The elites, yeah.
Mhm.
And then that's kind of spread to the United States. Basically the Freemasons, not that the Freemason order itself with its traditional teachings is fallen, but who's taking it over is this network. It's taking it over. And you can't rule, you can't be a ruling country or be a leader without being a Mason, apparently. So there's a tie-in. So anyway, it's complicated. So Seedings 3 is reassembling the DNA through the development of the intellect to reintegrate the organic soul matrix. Rudolf Steiner has done an excellent job of defining the development of our intellect through the current post-Atlantean epoch of the Aryan fifth root race seeded 65,000 years ago, and that was from Voyagers 2, Secrets of Amenti. The essential, and then of I should say of the Aryan fifth root race, that was Voyagers 2, but the epochs, Atlantean epochs, a good or thing to listen to is The Essential Nature of the Human Being by Rita Steiner, Press Audio YouTube channel on December 11th, 2019. He has an excellent, there's a guy that reads a lot of his stuff and has made recordings, and it's really good. Okay, that's the end of that section. Okay. The Earth Hosting Time Matrix. In more recent dispensations, according to Easha, our time matrix, particularly this Earth plane, became a realm to foster those who went down too many rabbit holes and were finding it hard to make their way back out. The higher aspects of our multidimensional clan guardian self had to decide early on how best to evolve their light body structure in this time matrix, as well as to foster other star system souls. Iane and Bruno, which is really us, were peering into the new frontier on the leading edge of creation. Oh, and by the way, sort of an added bit is I remember too when I first heard about the soul matrix transplant, I remember feeling really pissed about it because it didn't feel right to me. And what I realized was it didn't feel right to me because I'm already going through transitioning out. I don't have a transplant, soul transplant in me. I have actually me in me. And I have a feeling most of the people that I connect with, like probably you guys, are not the soul transplants. Or if you were, you're not anymore. You've made the connection back with. That's why we sort of feel like we're the star seeds kind of energy. Indigo energy are ones that actually have a direct connection now, and they're not have the soul transplant host with them. I would say probably a lot of the sleepers probably are still soul transplants. Okay. Yanni and Brenaway, us, were peering into the new frontier on the leading edge of creation, experimenting with manifesting in a solid magnetic base body form to reassemble compromised DNA. From their vantage point, they could see all the probabilities possible. They stand today riding the leading wave of creation, adjusting the probability timelines as we go. The question of whether this hosting experiment of the angelic human or Terranesium should continues. Even on Terra, there had been problems with the digression of the gene code back in the day and having to fix it. The Guardians, us, did not realize how complex those hosting programs would be, like in the Matrix movie. The people are locked into an orchestrated Matrix program. We were easily manipulated by holographic inserts, both by our higher aspects and by the rebel forces that did not want to host and did not want anyone else to either. At this point, the frequency fence has become the net Earth, and we feel trapped on this Earth plane. The normies are more than most likely the soul transplant host, either not going to wake up or on the verge of waking up. And I have to say, our election showed that there's a lot of them waking up. These angelic Terran humans and others are evolving slower than the rest of us, who are waking up and reconnecting to our original soul matrix. In my opinion, the current star seeds are our seeding oneself, returning to Earth to officially take on the frequency fence net, the frequency fence net, so that the Earth can evolve into its next level of ascension as a hosting Aurora Earth. Many of the normies are waking up every day. We are a combination of many stellar lineages, all here to evolve and expand into the eternal, internal spirit beings we are. We understand that all the major religions were created not to shut us down, but to help us wake up to who we are as the all that is, God source first eternal, Aya Aye, Yumi we Aste It, creators. Each major religion started in different areas of the earth, connected to particular angelic human earth tribes, designated to reassemble a particular DNA strand dimensional level. Each DNA dimensional strand is a world of knowledge in itself. Each DNA dimensional strand has 12 substrands or levels of cognition and reality constructs. Anything you want to add to that? Okay. Ancient Esoteric Christianity. The ancient Esoteric Christianity initiation science, based on the regional religious school of thought, focused more on a particular area than another, but overall they followed the same basic format. However, these teachings were still not for everyone. The many hosting normies could not hold the frequency of the teachings, which worsened as the frequency fence became the net of today. Steiner speaks about the lower and higher guardians of the threshold. The lower guardian can be brutal if one is not prepared through the initiation science, as in purifying one's physical, etheric, and astral bodies. Without that, one can be laid bare by this lower guardian who holds our karmic imprint. Note. And usually notes when I have my personal opinion and I'm not just saying what's in the books. Okay, note. The lower guardian of the threshold is one's hosting soul matrix. The host matrix recoded the Cathara grid template with the holographic memory programs inserts to develop as in Jacob's ladder. When one has reached the higher guardian of the threshold, they can connect with their original soul matrix. That's what I got. And I may at some point do some stuff more on the esoteric Christianity, but again, it is its own science in itself that I'm still trying to process. Spiritualist path versus the transhumanist path. During Joshua 12, aka Jesus' time, according to Steiner, the human race had utterly lost its ability to connect with the ancient religious doctrines seeded for humanity to reassemble their junk DNA. Rita Steiner's The Fifth Gospel from the Akashic Records lecture series is on the Rita Steiner Press audio channel. These lectures give a lot of insight into the topic. In Voyagers 2, The Secrets of Amenti by Ashayana Dean, pages 96 to 104, provides much information on the importance of both the Christ figures in history. Steiner and Iesha show how Christ was more than just a prophet. This being, through his sacrifice, gave humanity the potential to reassemble the shut down DNA to reconnect with one's multidimensional clan family. Harmonizing journey is dedicated to reconnecting with your authentic multidimensional clan family of being. But so are the major religions in their own ways. Each person has to find what works best for their template. When you trust and believe that you are not just your physical body, but so much more, live in the presence of whatever that force is for you, you are a force to be reckoned with, holding yourself to living not by base instinct, but by a morally high standard. This moral high standard is not based on the intellect abstract ideology, but on the divine love being, the I am. Sadly, those who are the atheists and not connected to a belief in God or spirit or the all that is, are running on Ahrimanic materialistic ideology, which is only going to keep them asleep or staying at what would be considered a no-me level. They are in no way dumb or incompetent. They can be highly intellectual at an abstract luciferic level, which combined with the Ahrimanic materialistic science mindset will sadly run some version of the transhumanist agenda. If they stay stuck in that for too long, they will, as in the book of Revelations, go down into the pit of hell, phantom earth, the space dust return. Anybody want to add anything to that?
It's playing right now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I
And
see
it's
my
very
own
sad.
family, like my brothers and sisters. There's 6 kids in our family. I'm the second oldest, and everybody's pretty much religious, but they're in a doctrinated religion, and it's just like they must think that I'm from, talking outer space stuff, or whatever, that I must be off my rock, or they're like completely asleep. But I try and bring my ideas and not let it, them deter me. I just, I'm myself, I just, try to be myself, and try and
Wait, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Keep that thought. Keep
Okay,
that thought. I'm at the conclusion part. In conclusion.
okay.
In conclusion, when we start to understand that life is not rock bottom solid, everything is a Keelan-coded thought reality bubble embedded into the Earth's core, we can begin to connect with our root chakras, stable in the earth, to climb the original organic Jacob's ladder step by step to fully embody who we are as the all that is, God Source First Eternal, utilizing the tools we gave ourselves throughout history. I invite you to consider joining our HJR Gridkeepers Community membership program. Please at least consider it. But above all, if you have been discouraged by the current religions and lost your belief in the spirit, God's source, first eternal, or if you go further with God, please don't give up. Keep searching. I, of course, prefer Keelanic science and Tantra Hura teachings in what I think are the original organic teachings of this time matrix that we lost when the Earth could no longer sustain its D12 consciousness, becoming a base-10 planet when Atlantis fell. We became a hosted soul transplant Earth with holographic seeded religions. But if I'm too out there, that's what you just say, Lisa, you're out there, no problem. There is a teaching out there. Just make sure it is teaching that focuses on God within and not a God without. Some churches are distorted that way, but not all. But there are some excellent churches out there. But even if you are drawn to one that sees yourself outside of God, that's okay too. You are finding your way. I would add that you could try to start experiencing the idea that God is also within you and you share that divine love together. All right. So this is kind of the time that, well, this is kind of I just got kind of a combined thing. Anything that I kept saying, let's wait until the end, we can talk about now. Also, I was kind of thinking, especially since I just brought it up about the HJR Gridkeepers community, if anybody would like to share like a little testimonial about what this group has been, given you and what you'd like to share to somebody who might be thinking about joining the community, we'll kind of open it up to whatever anybody would like to share or say.
I'm happy to start.
Okay.
I would recommend joining this community right here. We're at the beginnings of something very beautiful, very full of integrity, and all of the beautiful compassion, wisdom, everyone's different frequencies that we hold. And we hold a very loving space here, but we also dig deep. We dig deep into the core of who we are, and we slowly bring out the things that needs to be transformed, reawakened. We explore and assist each other to clear templates. I've been with Katie 3-4 years now, and it transformed me into truly anchoring into my core, into my pillar. I still have a lot of work to do, but she's very kind and loving, very patient, very strong. Our group is very strong, and I would highly recommend, if you want to realign with spirit, harmonize, alignment with harmonizing journey. That's my testimony.
Thank you. Beautiful. Would anybody else like to share?
Me.
Thank you.
The path of chaos, to me at least, it's very, what's the word? You really kind of cut yourself off from the rest of reality and you can become very, very lonely. This group, we hang out that much. We have 3 sessions a month. That is a lot of sessions, and you really do get to know and you get to connect with all these different people from all these different backgrounds. And eventually, they really do become your family. You really do, because once you go into KS, you can never look at this world the same way again. But that's the amazing thing, because while you do disconnect with net Earth, so to speak, all these wonderful, beautiful people come into your hologram, and you really start to feel where you really belong. And this is exactly what KD's Grid Keepers group has given me. So, thank you.
Thank you. I feel the same way. Thank you. Anybody else want to make that leap? Or add anything to the discussion that we had? Anything that they were inspired by the discussion that they want to talk about?
I wanted to say that I'm fairly new to the group, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I knew it was going to be good because, you know, it's true to my heart, these teachings. And I hadn't really gotten involved that much with the theories. I read the books, the Voyager books, but I really didn't. I wasn't in the groups, you know, like socially or anything, and I was left out basically of all these things. And I felt like, you know, I I felt a disconnection and I needed to make a connection. And this group has really started to give me, you know, something that I feel really good about. And meeting new people and discussing the information is helping me to understand it. And Katie's really good about bringing in things to discuss and shares different techniques and things to help you. And it's really been fun. I really, really appreciate all that she's done. And I really love being here. So thank you, Katie.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Thank you, sweetie.
Beautiful.
Feel the same
Thank
way. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anything they want to either testimonial or add to the above discussion that we just had? Okay.
I'd like, sorry,
Go ahead.
am I jumping in or is
Go
someone
for it.
else?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just like to say I was nudged, I feel that by an ancestor to I couldn't sleep one night and I was just nudged into come on to a meditation that you were running, Katie. And I appreciate the unfolding journey, and I feel that I've developed more of a connection to my core self. It's an ongoing process, and to my ancestors, which I feel are bridging the way. And there's been some lovely, lovely synchronicities in the journey. So while connecting and doing the work and being with you all here and learning more about you, each and every one of you, and also the world within and around.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gregory, did you want to add anything or are you good?
just gonna I just can't think. I've got a really bad flu. I'm really sorry,
Yeah.
and I just don't want to I mean, I just sound terrible, and
That's fine. We're glad that you're here and holding space with us. Thank you.
I almost missed it. I remember I went into Discord and saw, yes, I agreed to that. Yeah, I
You
totally
did.
forgot.
We were waiting for
I
you for a little while,
totally
actually.
forgot.
Yeah.
I just had the roughest. I went to bed before sunset last night, and I was in bed all night. And I got up this morning, took the little fella for a walk, and then we're just back. It's just I don't know. It's just been going on a couple of weeks now. Kane started with sinusitis, and then it's moved to the throat. Now it's gone down to the lungs. So hopefully it'll be clearing up soon.
Lewis had some trouble. I think Crystal was talking. I've been coughing a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a few other people that have been talking about it. I think it's part of the clearing process of what's going on energetically right now. So plenty of fluids.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got some chicken
Detox,
soup there
yeah,
for lunch.
wonderful. And any kind of like liver detox type teas are really good to help
Yep.
the body flush.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got some of that too.
We are.
Yes. Good to see you all
We're all a
too.
bit under the weather, I think, in different ways.
Wendy,
Listening to
Wait,
listening to yours. Okay, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say Wendy doesn't have her
Wendy.
mute on, so I was wondering if she
Oh.
had the courage to say
Mm.
hello and talk a little bit.
No, I'm just I'm very, very new to the group, to this work as well. I have done it in the past a little, but yeah, it's opening up again for me. So, and I just love the community feel. I love everybody that's here. So, yes, I'm looking forward to continuing. And thank you so much, Katie and everybody.
Very
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you, darling.
Yes. I'm a kind of a lone wolf in certain ways. And being an Aquarian and a divine wisdom being, I'm kind of a little out there to begin with. So I don't really, I kind of like the communities out there, but they don't really fit me. Not that I'm above them, but we just don't always really align because I'm always kind of someplace else and nobody's really getting me half the time. I love this group because you guys get me.
Definitely.
So I knew I just kept getting, you gotta create your own group. And I would tell people that you're probably, especially the divine compassion / community people out there, you're probably going to have to create your own groups because you got the old matrix program groups, and then as we're shifting, we got to start creating our new matrix. Maybe that's more accurate than what I was trying to say before. There's the old matrix groups that we try to fit into because that's how it was and that's how it's always been, and we really want to be part of something and we really try to fit, and we're just exhausted because it's just not, the energy's not right. We need to shift out of them and start new groups. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I think Lewis is going to start his at some point. He's going to do something. So when he does, we'll be talking about that when that time comes.
Yep.
And I know Nadia is involved with certain community things that she does. She's wonderful.
I'll go back into community and do my bowls and talk about chelotics.
Oh, beautiful.
More from the heart's perspective, community, compassion, experience.
I keep getting this feeling we're all going to go to Australia with Katie and we're going to see you guys. Australia popped, Australia popped in my mind, funnily enough. Like before, it just came random like a bubble. Like, how about going to
I'll host you all and
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
We should all meet somewhere like Ayers Rock or something.
I was thinking
yes.
Yes. I thought Ayers did know, but the impression I got, my intuition was that Ayers Rock was a rock that flew off of Maldek or Mars, and that's where it landed. So it's got it was actually like maybe higher frequency, because that was when things were in a higher dimensional band. So that's really a special rock.
Kind of makes sense when you say that, because Maldek actually was in the position Earth is in now. It held that position in the universal Stargate or galactic Stargate or whatever Earth is. I'm spacing what it is right now. That position in our time matrix, it held that spot. So it would make sense. A piece of it would be in Australia, in the root there, and that the natives would have worked in that with that energy to stabilize and hold whatever that frequency Maldek held for the true position.
A really special rock there.
There's all sorts of stories. Like there's
it's
actually
very,
beings living underneath the rock, and
we've done a few journeys, Katie.
Yes, we have.
And my last name, the Roo part, is connected to to that. That's why I'm here in this country. Is the Roo.
Before I lose it, I wondered the other day, because we know Maldek went kaboom, and we know how that affected Terra when it did a partial kaboom. All those souls fractured. But what I just kind of have a feeling of is Ayers Rock is almost like, I don't know, some kind of version of Maldex sphere, Amenti sphere kind of thing.
Yeah, there's
That those
Kata
people that are underground that are connected to that rock are probably Maldekian and are holding the imprint.
I
Yeah.
had a really big
And if
vision there. I had a really big vision quite a few years ago, and there's 3 rocks. There's 3 big ones. There's, yeah. So there is a feminine version, Katajula, and then there's the other one, which they say used to have water around it, but it doesn't anymore. That's why they don't live on it.
Mhm.
But I had a huge vision there,
You'll have
massive.
to tell
Wow.
us about it either
Yeah,
now or
would
sometime.
love
Yeah,
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, it
yeah, we'd
does.
love to host you over here.
Mhm.
I never got to see it. I never got to see Ayers Rock when I was there. But, you know,
Mm.
oh
I
well.
think with
It's like a
a
fair
little
way
bit
from
more
Alice
time
Springs
with the
too. It's
energy
like,
clearing too. Sorry, Gregory.
no, you're right. The you go. You started.
No, I said no.
Okay. I was saying it's not as close as you think to Alice Springs because you'd fly into Alice Springs and then it's another 800 k's.
Yeah.
So there you go down the highway about 5 or 3 and then in maybe not 800 k's, maybe down the highway about 300 or 400 k's and then in about 300 k's or so. So, but still, it's long distances in the center of Australia. It's all desert.
Yeah.
Got to be prepared for that. But we could look into maybe doing a journey.
Be best to
Talk
fly
about
in,
that.
fly in, fly in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do a Burke and Wills.
Oh no,
Mhm.
don't do what we did
Walk
last
from
3
Adelaide.
years.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
No.
It literally is in the middle of nowhere, guys.
Mm.
Yeah.
I heard it was sitting on a very, very large crystal. There's a big crystal underneath it, but I don't know if anybody else has heard that.
Mm.
You
I
heard
know
about
that
that,
Mm.
Kristen?
they have a lot of crystal skulls that they keep in somewhere underneath there. I don't know, but
Mm.
Katie, I don't want to do
Mm.
disclosure here. I'll wait for the
Yeah,
yeah.
we've heard that too. Yes.
yeah.
I've
Well,
had a lot of experience with those.
I'm one of the I've worked with the crystal skulls. It's one of my specialized things that I like to do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The,
Oh,
what
cool.
what we've sort of found is, the blue lotus crystal
Yeah.
beings have some kind of relationship. I don't know if it's recoding them, but they have a connection with those skulls.
Which ones?
Oh.
The lotus.
The blue lotus crystal beings that have to do with the Amenti tether, with the blue tether line, with the current KDDL
Okay.
information.
Mhm.
Yeah, here's my little contribution. Can you see?
Yeah,
It's a little selenite Buddha.
I was gonna say it looks like a little Buddha.
I have 3 of these. I need to get 3 more. I'm gonna work on getting 3
It's
more.
very lit up.
You're going to
Yeah,
make a whole
Cool.
little team of Buddhas.
I have 3 right now
Beautiful.
sitting around me, and I'm working on getting 3 more because I didn't know about the Buddha thing, like shield, but
Yeah.
that's what my next project's gonna be,
Beautiful.
is making a grid. So
Thank you
It'd be
guys.
nice in the yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Thank
you guys
you.
coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I-
Katie.
Was there
I
something?
just
Oh, go ahead, Nadia.
there's something that I keep getting. I mean, I feel we're like shields within shields and we're connected, and I'm getting this thing about the Navajo.
Yes.
Mm.
Like there's a
The-
connection with us with the Navajo.
Navajo, I know, has to do with the Ancient Passage, the integral bridge, which goes into the 7 bridges flows, which goes into now, I would say, the Rainbow Bridge pillar. and what we're rooted into to create the liberation passage, to be able to, I think of it as the bypass system of how we can bypass the current ascension matrix that's gotten running reverse now, and how we can kind of our own way ascend out. And it's creating its own, it has its own platforms of evolutional development that you can move up. Anything else you want to add to that, Lewis?
Something did pop up,
I know
but I
it
can't
did.
really explain it. In terms of those passages, a big portion of them went out in seeding to another one came back in.
Okay.
Wait, say that again.
At the end of seeding 2,
At the end of seating 2.
a big
Okay.
a big portion actually exited the earth for a passage, but then a new group came
Okay.
in.
Who exited out? A big portion of who?
It was a part of the Navajo groups, one of the big portions of them, because there was a
Okay.
passage.
Okay.
In Arizona or
Yeah.
Peru?
She talks about it in the
It connects in Peru, but then it also connects into Arizona.
Yeah.
And then Virginia Beach is another spot.
Okay.
And yeah. And it was initiated in seating 2 by the Navajo. Not everyone who just said it. Navajo.
Navajo.
Navajo Passage and the Crystal Heart of Aquafarion.
Yeah, that was during seating 2.
Yeah.
So I guess you're saying, Lewis, some of them were able to utilize what they had already created with that bridge and go out, and others decided to stay and host, and or some had to stay.
I think a whole new group came in for seeding 3, but
yes, I think so too.
Wasn't
I
that
think
in
wait, hold
Peru?
on a second. Hold on, Lisa.
Okay.
They went to Eartha, is what I'm getting. They came from Eartha, did their thing, and went back into Eartha.
Yeah.
They helped initiate the gyrodome and all that, which, because the gyrodome was initiated, we could put the Navajo thing in line and all the stuff that's been put in line with that. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Lisa.
Seeding 3, from what I was reading, or I saw one of the videos on the Peru trip, wasn't that Navajo too? Navajo or whatever? Seeding 3.
I think that, well, there would have to be some seeding 3 that would be Navajo, because she talks about the fact that there's certain groups of seeding 3 that have Navajo in their blood or in their DNA. So they probably, maybe before they left, maybe they energetically interbred with certain angelic humans and carried that line.
There's also an activation you can do as well. It's like a journey within the Crystal River Dance, where you can directly go into those cities and start initiating contact.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
pretty interesting.
we might do
experience.
that in one of our sessions. One of our
yeah, that'd be good.
Somebody remind me.
Write that down, Lewis.
Write that down, Lewis.
Put that note down.
Yeah.
I had a really good experience with it. As I was kind of connecting in, I just kind of asked. The next thing I knew, I just had this giant vibration go up through my body. It was quite amazing.
Cool. Awesome.
He's a man on fire.
That's another fun thing about this group, is that I would be bored to tears if I was the only one chitter chatting. But everybody has, when they're ready, they have their little beautiful things to share and abilities to share in the group and strengthen the group. So yeah.
And help to, I'd like to share some of my vision so that you can help me understand more too.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
I've had a lot, but I don't have full cognitive memory yet. So I would like, from my perspective, to
And
understand.
everybody has a little bit
And
of
everyone
their template that can go into translating
Yeah.
what these dream visions are.
And you guys would have been there, so you would have,
Yeah, exactly.
it would trigger you and you could
Yes.
start
Yes.
remembering as well so that we could put these fragments together.
I'm starting to put some of mine together more and more. It's just the past few months, it's just been like crazy, mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we probably need to stop this,
Yeah.
especially since we're sharing a lot of really personal stuff publicly.
Personal stuff.
I really love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time. And I'm gonna do my ending thing. Please like and share if you enjoyed this content. Also, please subscribe to Harmonizing Journey blog if you haven't. And much love and peace. ADHD Anita and the HJR Navigator, helping others to connect with their multidimensional plan.
Come and join us.
Come and join us, please. Thank you. There'll be a link to join below. All right. Love you. Thank you.
Bye.
See you, Katie. See you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
Actually, hold on a second.